A cozy night in. Let's see what's good on streaming. Huh. A lot more SpongeBob stuff than I remember. Wait, live action SpongeBob? Musical? Stage musical? Is that Ariana Grande's boyfriend? That is him. This is a live action stage musical for SpongeBob starring Ariana Grande's boyfriend? I mean, I gotta watch this. Anything can be a musical these days. Beetlejuice, Legally Blonde, and Back to the Future have all been adapted for the stage in this format. I can only imagine the song that they did for Marty developing feelings for his mother, and I can only imagine that was written by Lonely Island because they've already done like 2 or 3 songs around this subject matter, but very few of them have been filmed so they can be enjoyed at home. It's basically just a SpongeBob musical and Hamilton. Oh, and The Little Mermaid where Shaggy plays Sebastian and John Stamos is the chef. Oh, and Shrek!
I like you. What's your name? Shrek?
But Shrek this is not, which just shows us immediately by starting off with an animated sequence featuring all of our favorite underwater friends getting ready to watch this show. SpongeBob and Patrick are being their usual menace of selves by like blowing bubbles and like whispering loudly at each other, and poor Squidward he just gets caught up in the middle of it.
I'm sorry.
Literally, because they leave a seat in between them and that's where Squidward is sitting, and this all could have been avoided if they just like sat together. But unfortunately for poor Squidward, that's not what happened, and he's just like, hey, can you stop doing this? And then the usher comes by like, hey, can't be yelling in here. Get out of here.
No talking.
And after they yeet that cephalopod out of there, we get into our opening musical number, and honestly, it's pretty good.
But I kinda liked it.
Okay, except for that part. That's a little less good. Ugh. Ariana Grande saw that and thought, yeah, let me soak in that sponge man. No one here quite looks or sounds like the character they're supposed to be, but I'm sure we'll get used to it. Except maybe Patrick, who kind of just feels like a guy.
You just want some respect. I get that.
There's not a lot of the Patrick mannerisms coming from Danny Skinner, and I'm not asking him to go full Bill Fagerbach, who you might recognize from the Buddies in Space film, but I don't know, be more starfishy. Like Squidward is, because he absolutely nails the character. He's got like the 2 extra legs that move along with him, and he's just perfectly exasperated in every scene he's in. And Plankton, who has a bit of a confusing presence, because when we're first introduced to him, we're introduced to a Plankton doll, but then that quickly turns into a Plankton man, and the Plankton man is dressed up like Plankton, so this isn't like shadow puppetry going on. But they keep referring to Plankton as being really small, and the Plankton man he's not small, he's actually quite tall. And at one point, the Plankton Man is dancing with the Plankton doll on his shoe, and I think that's just there to remind us that, no, that's Plankton, and the man is just a personification of Plankton, because this is a stage show, and you can't just have a little doll up there the entire time, because no one in the back row is going to be able to see it. And he does an excellent job as well.
My genius is immense.
But speaking of the characters, let's talk about what they get up to together and the plot of the show, of which there is one. SpongeBob, who's been a fry cook at the Krusty Krab for all these years, yearns to move up and become manager.
I know someone who would be great for the job.
It's a beautiful tale of working your way up the corporate fast food ladder. Oh, and there's also a volcano going off in the background that also appears to be a bit of a sticky wicket.
The end is coming.
The volcano's more there for Plankton though, so he can gather the entire town together and hypnotize them into eating at the Krusty Krab. Something he does through the age-old method of sick rhymes.
Celebrate single cell city and a terrible genius.
And sick those rhymes are, because everyone is on board immediately. They're just ready to get out of here.
Seems your plan is the will of the fish.
But you can't just walk out of town. There's a volcano erupting and lava moves fast, I think. So they gotta get themselves an escape pod, something the city can't afford because the mayor has grossly mishandled the finances. But in her defense, she admits that she has grossly mishandled the finances.
There aren't enough clams in Old Bikini Bottom to pay for this.
So the town does the only thing they can do. Hold a fundraiser 24 hours before the volcano destroys them, to order something that takes a full day to deliver. I think their timing might be a little bit off here. And also they do this after being incredibly mammalist against Sandy.
Yeah, you're a land mammal.
Not the B or C, but like the E plot of this whole story is that the town hates Sandy now. because she's from the land and does science, and they blame her for the volcano. They don't touch on it too much, but it's still a pretty heavy storyline.
You're not even from here.
Now, SpongeBob can't sit idly by and let this happen, but for like unrelated reasons. It's because he loves this town and wants to become manager of the Krusty Krab. Can't have that happen if the volcano destroys the Krusty Krab.
We can't just give up.
Even if Mr. Krabs is just poo-pooing on him the entire time. And he poo-poos on him a lot. Mr. Krabs is kind of mean in this production. He keeps calling him a simple lad, and at one point, even sings about him being a simple lad.
You are a simple sponge.
Side note, the actor playing Mr. Krabs looks so much like Richard Karn, that's kind of distracting that it's not Richard Karn. If they ever do like a young Al Borland series, I should probably get this guy to play him. Or just get a child and put a goatee on them. You need the goatee. That's the only way you know it's Al Borland. Be fun to see what kind of shenanigans him and Tim got to as school children or whatever. Which might have happened on Home Improvement already at some point.
I don't think so, Tim.
Speaking of Home Improvement, the only person who can do anything about this is Sandy, because the rest of the town, they're gone. They left with Plankton immediately. He didn't even have to hypnotize them. They were just like, that was a great song. We're going to come with you. Or if he is going to hypnotize them, do it now.
Everyone will love Chum.
But also, if you're going to hypnotize them into eating at the Chum Bucket while a volcano destroys the town, you do realize the Chum Bucket is back in town, right? But I guess if you hypnotize them, you can get them to build another Chum Bucket and work there and eat there. You know what? Okay, I'm seeing the merits of this plan now.
My genius is immense.
Sandy, for good reason, wants to leave because the whole town just told her how much they hate her. But thanks to an emotional song from SpongeBob, she decides to help out.
I think I have an idea.
And that allows her to come up with a plan involving bubbles. I watched this a few times now, and I still don't quite understand how this thing is supposed to work. Basically, when the volcano erupts, it's supposed to release the pressure in the form of bubbles. And when she started explaining it, I'm like, oh, they're just gonna like drill a hole to release the pressure, but nope, it's a gadget, and I don't think this is how volcanoes work. Actually, really quickly, let's look at how volcanoes work. What even is a volcano, I hear you asking? Well, here are the facts. Simply put, it is a hole in the ground that expels magma, which then becomes lava, which then becomes a rock. Most volcanoes just ooze off this liquid stone, but some of them go boom! But why volcano go boom? As magma forms and moves around, gas gets trapped within the ripples, and then the gas magma becomes less dense than the non-gas magma and yearns to be free from the chains of the mountain it's within, because it just doesn't get it anymore. It never had feelings like this, with its 401k and house in the suburbs and perfect life. I'm sorry, I can't be perfect. Let's break it down real lemon squeezy. Imagine you have a triple C thick soup that you're trying to bring to a boil. A clam chowder, corn chowder, ham chowder. When it starts to bubble, those vesicles rise from the bottom to the top and go boop, oh so dramatically. But now imagine that soup is 700 degrees Celsius and in the ground and you have yourself a volcano. What happens if you try to pop the little bubbles with a big bubble? Well, you just get soup everywhere, which means this plant is broken. Back to you, SpongeBob. Since Sandy is a scientist, she has all the parts laying around and she builds this doohickey, and now the team just has to carry it up the volcano. And they have the perfect trio for it. Sandy, the brains. Patrick, the muscle. SpongeBob, also there.
I'm not sure what I bring to the team.
I guess he's square? He rounds out the team through his squareness? Yeah, that's enough reason for him to be there. As long as they do this together, this should be a breeze.
Oh, that was before I was a savior.
Okay, well, I guess Patrick has to go lead a cult now. I mean, when destiny calls, you have to be prepared to answer it, and Patrick, he's quite prepared to answer it. Too prepared.
It's my moment, SpongeBob. Try not to ruin it.
Fine then!
Man is ready to let his whole town be destroyed by lava so he can lead this covenant of sardines. Well, now it's just Sandy and SpongeBob, and that's... I mean, we might as well just call it here. But before we do, I guess we should see what Squidward's up to.
You are such a loser.
These guys are just being jerks for no reason. The guys set them up with everything they wanted.
Except the seahorse radish, it's out of season.
They're like, you're a loser, man. You can't open for us. This is a fundraiser. There's going to be several people opening for you. Why can't he open with the clarinet? Have you even heard him play the clarinet? No, you just went straight to bullying. Also, who are you to bully? You're on rollerblades.
You're the loser!
But at least we get a musical number where Squidward deals with the feelings that he's clearly had inside of him for a long time. Through tap dancing. Tap dancing that's twice as good because he has twice as many legs. I do kind of feel like that they planned this whole musical number and then just like did a bunch of stuff to get to this point, but I'm glad they got to this point. This is a great song. I guess we might as well go back up the volcano, and now there's only 2 of them, so let's see how this works out.
I'll save you!
Oh, Patrick came back! Wow! So noble of him to not let his whole town be destroyed by lava. He shows up on jetpack, and my hunch here is, he didn't mean to come up here. He just put the jetpack on, and it just shot him into the sky, and it happened to go the right direction. Because everything he's done up until this point makes me think, you don't want to help, you want to be in the fish cult.
It's my moment, SpongeBob. Try not to ruin it.
And when he saw SpongeBob and Sandy, he was just like, okay, guess I'm gonna be a hero now. Really wish I was back to those fish. And yes, that is my best Patrick impression. Please don't be mean. I'm very sensitive about it. Well, now that Patrick's back, he can just carry it back. After all, he's the muscle. He just like, whoop, whoop, down to the volcano. You got Sandy back to being the brains. You got Patrick being the muscle, and SpongeBob continuing to be a rectangle. I guess he'll be useful when they go down the volcano, because they can just like get on his back and just like, woo. I wonder if he offers anything else.
That's what you bring to the team, SpongeBob. Management skills.
Management skills. What the show has been about this entire time. Glad we came full circle here. If only Mr. Krabs could see him now.
You are a simple
This ladder thing that they built for the show is very shaky and honestly does look kind of dangerous. And I'm a little worried about Ethan Slate and more importantly Ariana Grande, because what is she going to do if he falls off? She can't really write a song about how her partner got injured in the SpongeBob stage musical. I don't think it's going to be much of a success, although it would be number 1 in my heart.
Now we wait until sundown and hope that it works.
Well, the thing's in the volcano and it takes 10 minutes to work, so I guess we just hang out for 10 minutes. How are things? Everything going well? It's good to hear. Good to hear.
They're all attacking each other!
Oh, the town's in ruins. Oh, okay. Whew. I thought I was gonna be sitting here waiting. All right, this is much better. They're really mad at each other. This is like the worst day ever.
It's the best day.
Or the best day ever. I can see that too. Right before a volcano leads you all to your imminent demise. Hey, sometimes you just gotta accept these things and be at peace. I guess we'll know any moment now if it worked or not.
Bubbles!
Oh, it did work, and we find out because of the bubbles. Oh, that's why they went with it. That's smart and an excellent visual cue. I guess this really was the best day ever. So let's rock on. And right here is my favorite part of the whole show. So spoiler alert, which might be a little bit late because I did just explain the entire plot and every story point that happens up until this point, which is the end. But maybe you're as excited about this as I am. So, spoiler warning. You're good? Okay, cool. Patchy the Pirate is here!
I told you I'd be back!
And he's played by Tom Kenny, the person who plays Patchy the Pirate and voices SpongeBob and like 30 other characters on the show. Really makes the show worth it. And honestly, I do think the show is worth it.
I kinda liked it.
The physical acting alone is amazing, and Ethan Slate does this like eye acting thing where he like goes cross-eyed and then like, I can't do it, but it's really cool to see. But for a stage performance, absolutely useless. But for something being filmed to be watched at home with commercial breaks, A+. The sound design is outstanding as well. And they have the person doing all the sound effects on stage and even rope them into some gags. It's nice to see him getting some love like that because he really makes the show feel more dynamic and cartoony. This is a really fun watch, but it's not a perfect watch because when they're going up the volcano in the third act and we're supposed to care the most, that's when the show drags the most. And part of the problem is the best songs are in like the first half of the show. The opening number and the plankton rap, absolute highlights. Another problem is what makes a cartoon in this show so great is like the over-the-top hamminess of all the characters, which they do a good job on, but they also try to add in this gravitas and like emotional beats to every single character. Sandy is dealing with the bigotry bit. Patrick and SpongeBob have a falling out. Squidward has to deal with being seen lesser than his peers. Mr. Krabs is a jerk, and the entire town is about to be destroyed by lava. That's a lot to deal with in an hour and a half. And SpongeBob, honestly, just isn't that deep of a character. He's a dum-dum who once fell in love with a burger. That is not management material. Hamilton, this is not. But if this was like a beat-for-beat reimagining of Hamilton, that honestly would be a lot of fun. Obviously, SpongeBob would be Alexander, and then Plankton would be Aaron Burr. And to play the whole thing out, I mean, Plankton has to destroy SpongeBob, and it's gonna change everything in Bikini Bottom. Unless they're cowards about it and just end it at like the halfway point. But I think this should just go all the way. Teach kids some revised history. I.e., there was more than 3 Schuler sisters. There was like 12 Schuler siblings. Final rating like 6 out of 10. Watch it if you love SpongeBob or musicals or personally dealing with sea racism or just have an hour and a half to kill. Speaking of spending time, thank you for watching to the end. If you enjoyed this, hit the like button, maybe subscribe, or send this to your favorite underwater friend. And yep, that's about it. Bye now.